President Biden has accused his opponents of attacking him with lies after the Republican-controlled U.S. House of Representatives voted to formalize an impeachment inquiry into allegations of wrongdoing during his tenure as vice president. 3 Republican-led House committees have accused Mr. Biden and members of his family of corruption. All the Democrats in the House opposed the investigation, saying there is no evidence for the allegation. The president's son, Hunter, faces several criminal charges, including failing to pay more than $1.4 million in taxes.
After 11 months, nobody can tell you what Joe Biden's alleged crime is, where it happened, when it happened, what the motive was, or who the victims are. Maybe today's impeachment inquiry vote is indeed the part of the continuing effort to deny Joe Biden the office of President of the United States. And what we saw it happen on January 6, 2021, when Donald Trump incited a violent insurrection to overturn the presidential election, to set aside the work of Congress in the peaceful transfer of power, to disrupt Vice President Pence in the execution of his duties. And they tried to stop Biden from becoming president then. And now this ridiculous impeachment drive continues the effort to keep Biden from being able to do his presidential duties.
Well, for more on this, let's bring in our ICE correspondent, Laurie Laird, who is monitoring developments from London. Good to see you, Laurie. So the U.S. House of Representatives voting to formalize an impeachment inquiry into President Biden, and expectedly it went very much along party lines, Republicans voting in favor, Democrats voting against. What's the latest update?
Well, certainly, Charles, you've nailed it there. This vote is not surprising. Republicans have been investigating for almost a year now, trying to find some evidence of corruption on the part of the Biden family. Even Republicans would admit that that year-long investigation has not yielded much, despite some 30,000 pages of testimony, hours and hours of discussions with various people who are close to Hunter Biden and the Biden family, also members of the Department of Justice. Most people say that evidence has not been uncovered yet, but the important thing about this formal vote to proceed with impeachment is it does allow lawmakers the powers of subpoena. They can bring in ever more witnesses under a legal basis. So this does escalate this investigation. It puts it on a formal basis.
But the case really concerns the president's son, Hunter Biden, doesn't it? Who's accused of bribery and corruption. And that's a story that President Biden just can't seem to shake off.
That's absolutely right. And again, there doesn't seem to be much evidence of the premise here is that the Biden family benefited financially from Joe Biden's time as vice president, and that Hunter Biden may have been the conduit for any financial gains. Now, there's no question here, Charles, and I think even the biggest defenders of Joe Biden would say this, is that Hunter Biden and perhaps his father did use some very poor judgment, that Hunter Biden was in the midst of a number of conflicts of interest when he was serving in a business sense for Burisma, the energy company of Ukraine. He had some dealings with energy companies in China. Certainly on the surface, this does look like a conflict of interest. And a key witness to the Republican investigation so far, a man called Devin Archer, a very close associate of Hunter Biden, has said that Hunter Biden certainly created the illusion that he could provide access to his father when he was serving in some of these roles as advisors to foreign energy companies. Certainly, there is a conflict of interest here, but it doesn't appear as yet that the Republican investigations have made a leap from that conflict of interest to actual financial gain.
Well, I suppose this is the million-dollar question. Is there a chance that Joe Biden might be removed from office because of this inquiry, or is this simply aimed at causing Americans to question President Biden's morality going into an election year?
No chance at all, in my mind, that President Biden would be removed from office. That would take a Senate vote and a two-thirds vote to remove him from office. And we saw Donald Trump two impeachment trials failed at that hurdle. Could Joe Biden be formally impeached? Well, yes, he could. If there is a vote in the House, if Republicans retain a majority in the House after the November elections, and I think this thing could go on for a while, I think there's every chance he could be impeached, but not removed from office. Remember, this is a two-stage process. But I think the bigger question now is what you hit, Charles, in the second bit, is what does this mean coming into an election year? And I think this will keep headlines on what is happening in that impeachment inquiry. What are Republicans uncovering? And remember, Joe Biden is an extremely unpopular president, so this could lead to some very unwelcome headlines, particularly as some of the drama with Hunter Biden is still playing out.
Laurie, thanks very much indeed. Laurie Laird, Arise correspondent, talking to me there from London.